It's up to you, New York, New York.
Good morning. Good Thursday morning. How we doing? It's the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast here on Facebook Live and YouTube. I am your host, Richie. The NFL community really up in arms about this Bill Belichick situation. Unless if you have not watched anything sports media related in the last couple of days, Bill Belichick is not a first ballot Hall of Famer. Now, while I know that he has never been the most personable coach in NFL history, he has never been a media darling, and he also has a little bit of scandal attached to his coaching tenure in New England. It is really hard for me to say that this isn't anything short of ridiculous. You're talking about the most postseason wins of all time. You're talking about an 8-time Super Bowl champion, twice as a coordinator for the New York Giants, 6 times as head coach of Tom Brady and co. in New England. You're talking about a guy who is number 2 on the all-time wins list. You're talking about a guy who has a record for AFC East divisional titles. He has a record for not only Super Bowl victories, but also Super Bowl appearances. Bill Polian, the most controversial figure attached to this situation, a couple of days ago claimed that he voted for Belichick. Backtracks literally a day later and says he doesn't remember. Now, this is my thing. You're tarnishing history, and you're really screwing up the credibility of this establishment if you're not owning it, and if you're not flat out saying that you don't remember if you voted for him. The actual NFL is quite embarrassed about this because it makes the entire institution look like shit. There's no way around it. It looks terrible. As much as I like Bill, the cheating stuff will get you every time. He is an amazing historian of the game, but people hate success and people are going to hate. I would have voted for Bill to get in. My thing is this. They punished him already. If you wanted a more severe punishment, Roger Goodell, that was the time to do it. Now, this is not Roger Goodell doing this. I mean, we know they all talk. You know, there's a lot of accounts that Bill Polian was very influential on some of the 50-50 voters regarding this matter. But to not get 80% of the vote is just, it's crazy to me. 40 of 50 is what you need to get it. You're telling me that 40 of 50 didn't see it Bill's way? Are you shitting me? I think another thing that's quite ironic about all of this is that when you look at the 3-headed monster that was the New England Patriots for 2 decades, Tom Brady, player, quarterback, Robert Kraft, owner, ambassador, among other things, Bill Belichick, GM and coach, architect of the defense. It really seems like they being the general consensus of the Hall of Fame that are against Bill, they want to paint him as the bad guy. Robert Kraft completely skates on a situation in a massage parlor. Not that I give two shits about it because he didn't commit a crime or whatever the case may be. The point I'm making is it's different rules for different fools. Nobody wants to look at others' reputations if it's not in their vested interest or their narrative. Yeah, within 1 year is a little odd. Yeah, Shula, Lombardi, among others, waited for 5 years. Those are the new rules. You only got to be removed from the NFL for 1 year, which essentially means that if Belichick gets it next year, which I think he will, he can actually come back and coach one day. That I don't think will happen after this fiasco. But I mean, you're hearing it from every which direction. Patrick Mahomes gave his 2 cents on this matter. 3 time Super Bowl winning quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes. Jimmy Johnson, one of the greatest coaches of the 1990s, one of the greatest coaches, period. I think if he stayed in Dallas longer, that's a dynasty, a bigger dynasty, I should say. They had a dynasty, a bigger dynasty. Um, he was pretty outraged. Tom Brady flat out said, if he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer, then no coach should be. But I said it on a couple of shorts already. You're screwing other guys that are Hall of Fame worthy, like Tom Coughlin, Mike Holmgren, the late Dan Reeves, etc. But the entire institution takes a massive hit here by not putting Bill Belichick in the hall. It is disgusting. And this isn't on the level, in my opinion, of a Pete Rose situation, or for that matter, even an AJ Hinch situation. I think the difference between Bill and some of these other coaches is that he kind of got caught. They might have taken it to a bigger extreme. Yeah, you shared that on my short the other day, and that is kind of intriguing because his teacher, so to speak, Bill Parcells, also went that route. He went to Dallas. So it wouldn't shock me if Belichick found his way there if he ever wanted to coach again. I really thought the Buffalo gig would have made too much sense for both parties, but after seeing Buffalo hire Joe Brady, I still don't think they get it, and I don't expect any championships coming to Buffalo. I'll be honest. To fire McDermott, but you bump up his OC, I think you're basically running back the same program. Um, I do believe Bill Belichick will be in next year's induction ceremony, but I don't think he'll be attending. Belichick has always been anti-establishment since day one, and according to the NFL, they're going to remove people who they feel have tainted this voting process. We'll see how honest the NFL is about that. The Pro Football Hall of Fame, rather. We'll see how serious they are about that. But this is a big gaffe and a big embarrassment to football, the institution, football fans, players, former players, guys with gold jackets, guys still trying to get in. It's just an amazing embarrassment. And we look at the way that MLB has been, Cooperstown has been ridiculed for some of their procedures of how they put people in the hall and how they keep people out. But the NFL needs to be careful. It's the most popular sport in the country. But shit like this could really turn fans off in an ugly, ugly way. Stephen A. Smith, who I very rarely agree with, I got to stay on his side on this one. He's calling for people to boycott the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton. Yeah, I'll tell you the truth, man. Um, I've always been a believer of don't let someone try to convince you otherwise of what your eyes saw. And that's the best thing I could say about that matter. That's the best thing I could say about that matter. Lost for words, to put it bluntly. Lost for words. Bill Belichick will be coaching North Carolina this coming season. It's not just about Patriot fans or a Patriot dynasty that gets kind of downgraded. This also downgrades the Parcells era in East Rutherford, New Jersey, as Bill Belichick was a mastermind for those defenses. I think this does a lot more than just one particular thing. But yeah, just a disappointing situation all the way through. And I don't expect certain players, certain contributors to not attend, but there would be no better way for solidarity to show the Pro Football Hall of Fame that people are not playing if everyone decides to sit it out. That's what I would do personally. If I'm Robert Kraft, and I think this is egregious, and he gets in, I'm not doing it. To my New York Giant fans, Eli Manning, second time up for induction, second time denied. Well, I mean, what are his two grandest accomplishments in his career? Obviously, taking down the most dominant dynasty twice, Tom Brady and Bill Belichick's Patriots. Can I really say I'm surprised that Eli's not getting in? If Belichick's not getting in, no, I can't say I'm surprised. But taking it solely to Eli, there's good and bad on both sides. I love Eli Manning. He's a top three favorite all-time Giant of mine, along with Lawrence Taylor and Michael Strahan. But I believe that Eli Manning is a complicated one. The four Pro Bowls doesn't exactly jump off the page. He did play in the toughest media market in the country, which I think is a check plus for him. One of the toughest places to navigate a career. Obviously, the elements. This is a guy who played through injuries galore. This is a guy who never missed a game until he was benched. This is a guy who orchestrated all of his playoff wins, with the exception of one win, on the road or a neutral site. He defeated an 18-0 team. He defeated a 15-1 team. Two legendary victories in hallowed Lambeau Field. But the second part of his career, I think, lined up where the organization kind of failed Eli. So I think it's a little bit of both on that one. Eli Manning, I think, falls victim to his organization not doing right by the roster, him or the future. I think when you separated Tom Coughlin from Eli Manning, things got bad for Eli and the Giants on the whole. And this is the most stability that they've had at head coach since Eli Manning's tenure with Tom Coughlin. Of course, bringing in John Harbaugh. I do think Eli will eventually get in because of the numbers. You can't deny the numbers. Top 10 in every passing category when he retired, as high as 7 on the all-time passing touchdown list when he left the game. All-time New York Giants leader in every metric of passing, and one of only 5 players to be a multiple-time Super Bowl MVP. What hurts Eli is, in a lot of voters' eyes, they don't see him as an overachiever in an era where so many quarterbacks were doing so much. But to be fair, this is a guy who shared a conference with Drew Brees, with Aaron Rodgers, with Brett Favre at time, with Tony Romo, Matthew Stafford. There were a lot of great quarterbacks during the Eli Manning era in the NFC, and I also think that offensive philosophies play a part here too. What should work, in my opinion, for Eli is that he's never played with a Hall of Famer on offense. His only Hall of Fame teammate was actually Michael Strahan, unless if Tiki one day gets in, as that was brief. Tiki retired in 2006. But I do believe Eli, by try number 4, will probably get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He's the biggest winner on the grandest stage in the Super Bowl era for the New York Giants. New York Giants are an iconic organization. You also can't tell the story of the NFL without him. Yeah, a lot of people did not care for that with Favre and Strahan. But, Myles Garrett has it now. I know some people were trying to walk it back because Myles Garrett played an extra game. I shut that down quick because Myles Garrett played less snaps. But this Belichick stuff, man, just a real foul taste in a lot of people's mouths. And this ain't going nowhere, man. Now, there's the thing. I'm not here to debate that Peyton Manning wasn't a better quarterback than Eli Manning. I mean, you're talking about a litany of MVP awards, two-time Super Bowl champ in his own right. Only one of those Super Bowls he did win the MVP in, though. But one thing that I am going to say with regard to Peyton versus Eli, Peyton had that top flight receiver forever in Marvin Harrison. For a short while, he had Marshall Faulk. Then he had Edgerrin James. Ultimately, he wins with Joseph Adai. I believe that player-wise, Peyton was surrounded with more than Eli, or at least more than Eli for a longer period of time. I know that people love to say that the defenses carried the New York Giants to 2 Super Bowl victories. And while I'll be the first to admit that the 2011 version of the Giants played a lot better for a month in the playoffs, statistically, that team was in the bottom 3 of the NFL in defensive rankings. That particular season, I think, proves Eli Manning's Hall of Fame worth. Now, if you want to back it up to 07, I do believe that there's more of a case that the defense carried a lot of the weight. However, if you look at both years, neither one of those defenses was a top 10 unit. One was a bottom 3 unit, and they also had a bottom 3 running game in 11, too. But it will be interesting to see what's changed after all of this. I also think Peyton came up small in some big games. I'll be the first to admit that his defense and kicking game and special teams let him down over the years. But some of that does fall on Peyton, too. Big game wise, big game. We're not talking about seasonal stats and making the playoffs. Peyton was a more frequent visitor to the playoffs. But if we're talking about just one game to win it all, I'm taking Eli every time. And the only 2 quarterbacks that I would probably take above Eli Manning in the big game, Joe Montana and Tom Brady. People can say what they want. Eli Manning was that dude in the Super Bowl. Moving it along, we're going to talk about Giannis. A lot of NBA trade buzz going on. A lot of teams potentially linked to acquiring the Greek Freak, who is actually injured right now. He has told the Milwaukee Bucks he wants a new start. I personally believe that the Golden State Warriors have the best package to offer Milwaukee to get Giannis. If the New York Knicks are going to try to do this, I believe that they're going to have to involve a third team, and it's still not going to be easy because if you move Karl Anthony Towns in any of these situations, it's going to be awfully difficult because that contract is not very appealing. You would want to get Towns to then move him for more draft capital if you're a team like the Portland Trailblazers who serves to be the third team. Minnesota, I could see because it's a market similar to Milwaukee. You know, a big market, but not the kind of maniacal market like a New York or a Chicago or an LA, where I think Giannis proved that he could thrive in, given that he helped the Bucks break the 50-year drought. Giannis is a phenomenal player, but I think sometimes when players get through, how do I say this? I think when players see a lot of change come and go, they lose interest with their original team. And I think in Giannis, it's a motivation thing too, and he wants to refine his love and motivation for basketball. But I think New York would be interesting. Don't get me wrong. I'd love to have him, but I don't think the Knicks have the right package, especially when you consider all the draft capital they gave up to get Mikal Bridges. And I don't think it's a coincidence that the New York Knicks are suddenly playing so well. There are a lot of guys that are worried about being shipped out, and I think that they're digging deep right now as the Knicks are enjoying a 4-game winning streak after those terrible 3 weeks of just piss poor basketball. OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, the story yesterday, as was Karl Anthony Towns, ripping down a season high 22 rebounds. But the New York Knicks, still a lot to prove. They still have to improve their overall defense. So we're going to see how that all comes to be. I got a question for you guys moving it over to MLB. Brian Cashman recently spoke about his reasoning as to how the New York Yankees are not running it back with basically the same team. Now, there are some moderate changes. There's no Devin Williams this year. There will be no Luke Weaver. Yankees are still trying to fortify their bullpen. I would think that David Bednar, probably your go-to closer, at least at the beginning of the year. Camilo Doval, who has closing experience, may also be in the mix. This is a team that won out and got Weathers from the Marlins in hopes that they will be able to rectify some of his bad mechanics. Matt Blake has been a master with that. They also go to Colorado, not exactly a place that you think, let's go get a pitcher from there. But the kid does have a lot of swing and miss stuff. Of course, Blake is going to see that as a project as well. He will be a bullpen arm. But the goal for the New York Yankees in this new season is to hold down the fort while Carlos Rodon and Garrett Cole both heal up. It is a mystery if Clark Schmidt will see a mound this year, as he had his surgery rather late in the year for Tommy John. Garrett Cole will be back. My expectation is the middle of June, possibly the 4th of July at the latest, but I'd say the middle of June. They bring back Ahmed Rosario, a depth piece. Ryan McMahon is manning down third. They bring back their same outfield. The Bellinger saga finally got put to rest. He has an opt-out after year 2, after year 3. But my question to you, the viewers, will the New York Yankees be good enough to get back to the World Series where they were 2 years earlier? Toronto Blue Jays, I personally think the loss of Bo Bichette is going to be massive. I think they might be underestimating how big of a loss he's going to be, as he is now a member of the New York Mets. I think the New York Mets did a lot of work. In my genuine opinion, I think it's the Mets division to lose in the East. Yankees, I got them anywhere between 89 and 96 wins, anywhere between there. If you go back to last year and you look at all the blown saves in the pen, predominantly on the shoulders of Devin Williams, Yankees could have been a 100-win team. No team in MLB won 100 games last year, but the Yankees did finish with the same record as the eventual American League champion Blue Jays, who were ever so close to winning their third ever World Series. But going to be very interesting to see how this all plays out. In terms of protection in the lineup, it was imperative that the Yankees brought back Cody Bellinger. There were rumors that they might be looking to bring back former MVP Paul Goldschmidt to be a depth bench piece, which I actually like in case if you get an injury to Ben Rice. I actually like that. JC Escara, it appears he will be starting the year as the backup to Austin Wells. Congrats to Austin Wells on the birth of his first child. Found that out yesterday. So congrats to you, the Wells family. If you haven't already, please make it a point, like and subscribe to the channel, the Richie H. Jr. Sports Podcast. I had to get on here and just share a few more thoughts about this Bill Belichick saga. I'll be having my man, Brett Bandick, join the panel, more than likely late Friday. We're going to do a late show on Friday night. This is my birthday weekend coming up, so I'll be staying up late talking the deets with Brett Bandick, who is a diehard New England Patriot fan. I definitely want to hear what he has to say about all of this. Enjoy your day, everyone. Hall of Fame, get your shit together or get some new blood in there. We know all about some of the transgressions, but to not put the winningest coach in the NFL in terms of postseason value as a first ballot Hall of Famer, what does it say about your entire institution? And last time I checked, guys, Jerry Rice was a first ballot Hall of Famer, and he recently admitted to using Stickum. Do we take him out and re-put him in a pool again? This is what I mean. Don't pick and choose when you want to play the moral cops. I'm out. Thank you for that. Yeah, almost. Have a great day, everyone. I'm out.